There was this other topic that I kind of wanted to bring up that was from, once again, it was from Jocko Live, and there was a young woman, and again, this goes to the kind of variety of different people that were coming to the Jocko Lives. Were all over the place. So this young woman asked a question that was kind of like, how do you, and I can't, when you're at the live events, there's light shining in your eyes, so you're not really 100% sure. You don't get it. It's not like you're not seeing the person face to face. So I'm kind of looking out into the light. I'm seeing this frame of a young woman, and she asked something along the lines of, how do you handle when there's people that are trying to pull you down and pick you apart? And I said, well, what do you do? And she's like, I'm in school. And I said, what school? And she said, high school. And I said, what grade? And she said, I'm a freshman. And I said, okay, so you're getting bullied, right? Because essentially that's what she was saying, right? I'm getting picked on. I got people trying to drag me down. Well, you know what that's called? That's called bullying. I said, so you're getting bullied? And she said, yes, I'm getting bullied. So I said, I thought about it for a second. I said, well, I've got some bad news and I've got some good news. And I'm going to start with the bad news. The bad news is that people can be mean. And they can be mean for a variety of reasons. They can be mean because they're insecure. They can be mean because they're bullied themselves. They can be mean because they're unhappy. They can be mean because they're scared to be vulnerable, so they put up that front. They might be suffering and jealous and have no self-esteem. It's the way some people are. And there's some people that are just evil, that get joy out of putting other people down. So there's all those kind of people exist, and they especially exist inside of immature people in high school. So that's the bad news. And then I said, but the good news is high school is not life. And when I said that, it was actually funny. When I said that, like, people started clapping because everyone in that room knew that it was true. And that reminded me of another conversation that I've been having with people lately about ecosystems, something I've called ecosystems. So little ecosystems in the world that people get caught up in, and they get caught trying to get to the top hierarchy of some little ecosystem somewhere. And look, I get it. I get it, Jordan. Right? Jordan Peterson, we're trying to ascend the top of our dominance hierarchy, be the best you can. I totally get that. Absolutely. But there can be a problem with this from multiple angles. The world is filled with these little ecosystems, and high school is one of them. Remember the little high school ecosystem? There's someone that's popular. There's someone that's, there's all these little, there's this ecosystem there. And high school, this is something, you look at a high school kid and you try and explain to them that once you left high school, no one really cares. Right? Correct. If you care about it deeply, you're actually Uncle Rico. Yeah. Right? Yes, if you're the one that's running around saying, well, when I was in high school this, when I was in high school that. But here's the problem, and this is one of the reasons when I wrote Way the Warrior Kid, the first one of the things that triggered me to write it was, here I was at work, war going on, big, real, legitimate, crazy problems and dynasties and dynamics to figure out, like, things are going on. And I'd come home and like one of my kids would be sad that they got called a name, or sad that they got a low grade on a test, or whatever. And I would be thinking, like, I had a moment of clarity where I thought, I can't believe they're I can't believe they're sad about this. Who cares? And then I realized, oh yeah, idiot, Jocko. Yeah. That thing that's going on in their world is their whole world. It's it's their entire world is in that one ecosystem. So it's hard for people to realize that their ecosystem that they're in is not the whole world. It's the same thing with when you start getting to college. And I've got 2 kids in college now. You know, this whole ecosystem around first getting into college, and once you get to college, you know, where are you going to get your MBA, where you're doing your internship, there's this whole thing, right? And once again, if you step outside that ecosystem into just the normal world, no one actually cares about where you got your degree. Not no one, because there's a group of people inside that ecosystem that they go, where'd you get your MBA? Oh, where'd you study? You know, and there's people that care about that. There's other people that literally do not care at all.
Yeah.
And I meet incredibly, from that perspective, I meet incredibly successful business leaders all the time that don't have their MBA and went to some state school in Iowa. I got props the other day from someone from Iowa that said, whenever you think of that state, I'm like, yes, from Iowa, some state school in Iowa, whatever, some little community college in Nebraska, and they go out in the world and dominate. So, but that's not important. We know that happens. Look, and there's people that go to Ivy League schools and they do great too. But what I'm saying is, they get in this little ecosystem where what they're actually trying to do is climb to the top of that ecosystem only for the sake of climbing to the top of that ecosystem, not how it measures into the greater world. What kind of car do you have? There's an ecosystem you can get wrapped up in. You know, my Porsche is better than your Porsche. Right? There's people that are into that. And there's other people that I do not care at all. At all. What about our little ecosystems we're in, right? Jiu-jitsu has its own little ecosystem. Yep. You know what I'm saying? There's a little ecosystem, who's who, what. The podcast world has an ecosystem. So all these things, and those are just things that you and I are actually actively in, right? We do jiu-jitsu and we have a podcast. So we could jump into where are you at on the hierarchy of these ecosystems? And again, Jordan, I get it. We're trying to go up the hierarchy. I get it. But you have to be able to put that in check. Because why are you doing that? What is driving you? If what's driving you to ascend that hierarchy is because it's going to make you better and the people around you better, that's good. If you're doing it for your own ego though, that's a problem. That's where it becomes a problem. Guess what? The jobs, the companies, the industries, they get created. The jobs that get created by companies and industries, they have their own little ecosystem, right? About I worked here, I worked there, I ran this region. You can see it. It's an ecosystem that exists. The SEAL teams is a freaking ecosystem, and everyone's in there going, okay, where are you at on the ecosystem? Where did you how many deployments have you done? Where did you deploy to? What schools have you been to? There's a little ecosystem that people are trying to get up, and I get it. There's some positive to that, right? Because you're trying to do better, trying to work harder. That's good. Then there's the bar scene. You probably can relate to this better than me.
Sure.
There's an ecosystem of the clubs.
Yes.
And who's the owner, and who's the manager, and who's the GM.
Yeah.
And who's the head door guy?
Yeah. And who comes in your club?
Oh, who you gonna let in the club?
Yeah.
Music scene, real estate. There's just ecosystems everywhere. And so this is the point that I guess I'm getting to, and where it ties back into this young female that asked this question. When what you have to do is realize that in most of these cases, when you step outside of that little ecosystem, no one cares about that ecosystem. No one cares. No one cares. If I was to tell my mom, hey mom, I got my black belt in jiu-jitsu, 2005. Hey mom, I got my black belt in jiu-jitsu. You know what she would say? Oh, congratulations. You know what she's thinking? That I'm in a strip mall doing karate somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's what she's thinking. She doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
She doesn't care at all. Your Porsche that you told me about, I can introduce you to many people that think if you spent more than $5,000 on a vehicle, you're an idiot. Never mind $150,000. In fact, if you ever hear me brag about a vehicle, the vehicle that I brag about probably the most is my 1997 Dodge Grand Caravan. That's the one I brag about the most. So when you step outside the ecosystem of cool cars, people literally do not care. The music scene. Oh, I know this recording artist. I know. Oh, I'm going to this studio. It's like no one cares. So my point in saying this is, if you find yourself distraught about your failure inside some random ecosystem, then remember that if you can detach and you can step outside that ecosystem, you're going to realize that ecosystem, in most cases, doesn't even matter at all. It doesn't matter at all.